welcome back to Girl Chats. I hope that you have had a wonderful start to your school year if you have started school. I live in Florida and schools have been back for a couple weeks now, which is crazy. But I know some of my northern girls are probably headed back to school when this will air. So we are talking about our whole quarter is going to really be around etiquette, character development, virtues, and what that means for you. Um, and our conversation for our older group of women and girls, we just talked about Proverbs 31. I don't know if you've ever read Proverbs 31. If you have not, this is a great clue to read it with your mom or your sister or your cousin or whomever. It's a really beautiful chapter all around noble character and how we can operate as girls, as women. And I think I love figuring out how scripture can really apply to us in our everyday modern life, right? Because I think sometimes the Bible can feel a little out of context, like we can't relate to it because it was so long ago and the stories and the language doesn't necessarily match up to the way we talk today. But my hope is that in this little convo, I can sort of break down Proverbs 31 for you, where you're at as a young girl, girlhood. What does this say about girlhood, and how can it encourage, inspire, illuminate us today wherever we are? So the first thing that I'm going to read through Proverbs 31 and then talk about it. Who can find a wife of noble character? She is far more precious than jewels. The heart of her husband trusts in her, and he will not lack anything good. She rewards him with good, not evil, all the days of her life. She selects wool and flax and works with willing hands. She is like the merchant ships, bringing her food from far away. She rises while it's still night and provides food for her household and portions for her female servants. She evaluates a field and buys it. She plants a vineyard with her earnings. She draws on her strength and reveals that her arms are strong. She sees that her profits are good and her lamp never goes out at night. She extends her hands to the spinning staff and her hand holds the spindle. Her hands reach out to the poor and she extends her hands to the needy. She is not afraid for her household when it snows, for all of her households are doubly clothed. She makes her own bed coverings. Her clothing is fine linen and purple. Her husband is known at the city gates, where he sits among the elders of the land. She makes and sells linen garments. She delivers belts to the merchants. Strength and honor are her clothing, and she can laugh at a time to come. Her mouth speaks with wisdom, and loving instruction is on her tongue. She watches over the activities of her household and is never idle. Her children rise up and call her blessed. Her husband also praises her. Many women have done noble deeds, but you surpass them all. Charm is deceptive and beauty is fleeting, but a woman who fears the Lord will be praised. So, obviously, this is talking about a wife and a mother. But before she was a wife and a mother, she was a girl. And these values were obviously established. Her character was established long before she became a wife and a mother. And so wherever you are in your girlhood journey, you can take your character development seriously, because it builds over time. And one day you might be a wife and a mother and reflect similar characteristics as this woman in Proverbs 31. And this outlines and tells a story of someone who was first and foremost, a God-fearing woman. It says that charm is deceptive and beauty is fleeting, but a woman who fears the Lord will be praised. So it says right there that she recognized that God was the number one influence and um, leader in her life, right? Um, we're really distracted, in today's culture to prioritize performance and to think about what we look like and what we're wearing and kind of obsess over these things all the time. But Proverbs 31 says that these things pass away, that they don't really matter in the grand scheme of things. What does matter? Being um, connected and prioritizing our relationship with the King of Kings, with God Himself, making sure that we are going to Him first before we are thinking about all these other things. And so, what does that produce? That produces the character, the strength, the calling, and the purpose that this wife and mother was able to live out. So I think that one of the most important things that a relationship with God can produce is we've been talking about our posture, our character, our manners, how being kind and generous and patient matters. Why do they matter? Because they are a reflection of God Himself. They are proof that He is working in our hearts, that He is developing a character that outweighs anything that the world may push or influence us with. These are things that are rooted, that are established by God Himself, that no one can take away from us. And so, attitude is really important. How we carry ourselves, what our attitude is, really sets the tone for our relationships, for our our ability to influence and impact the people around us, for us um, to be able to articulate and make a difference in our communities. Our attitude carries with us um, the influence of God. She says right here that um, strength and honor are her clothing. So that right there says that our attitude then um, dictates how how strong, how victorious, how successful we can be, right? And all of these things come from God. All of them are established. The more we seek Him, the more we study His word, the more we pray and take time to really acknowledge His presence in our life, He develops this strength. He develops this righteousness that is like honor, that then develops an attitude and a posture that can transform any room, any classroom, any lunchroom, any bedroom or living room that we go into. And so I think that Proverbs 31 really is perfect for this whole conversation around manners and etiquette, because our attitude is a reflection of how we carry ourselves and who is influencing us the most, right? Are you being influenced? Think about it. When you have a conversation with someone who's maybe not the best influence, oftentimes we can get a little frustrated or disgruntled, irritated. Our siblings might start to bug us. We're quick to get upset, our temper starts acting out. It matters who's influencing you, because who's influencing you will determine your attitude. So obviously, it's clear that this woman in Proverbs 31 was first and foremost influenced by God. So when we're able to prioritize um, our relationship, our prayer life, reading the Bible, we are then in turn um, developing into a lovely young woman that reflects the attitude of Jesus. And we all know that Jesus is the greatest role model that has ever walked the earth. The ways that he operated, the stories and parables he told, to apply those things to our life, they are the greatest things that we can study to understand how to live in the world, how to be a good friend, how to show kindness, how to be generous, how to be cheerful and joyful and content with where God has us. So I think the last thing that I want to just highlight is that Proverbs 31 really outlines this creative woman. And obviously, at Waverly Girl, we love to encourage you to be creative because we believe that we were created by a creator who has creative in his definition of who he is. He is a creator, he is the creator. We are made in his image, therefore, we are creative. And this woman was a fashion designer. She loved to make clothes, not only for her family, but she took her work to the city gates. Um, and so how cool is that? That God gives us an example of a woman that we can grow into as we develop our character in girlhood years and eventually become a woman. We can then create. And God will show us and guide us what our creative path is. And I really, really do believe that every single one of us is creative because we were made in God's image. We have that creative DNA inside of us. And if you're listening and you're like, Molly, I know you're saying this, but I don't feel creative at all. Pray about it. Ask God, say, Lord, please reveal to me how I'm creative. And I promise you, he will show you. You may end up pulling out a coloring book and starting to doodle, and you're like, oh my gosh, I can draw. Or you might take a class and realize, wow, I love to bake. You may love math. Math is creative. Science is creative. So be really open and curious about how God made you. And all of these things reveal over time, build over time, and develop first with our relationship with God. As we pursue him, he pursues us and reveals himself to us more and more. And that's when we start to reflect the fruits of the Spirit, like we talked about last time. We reflect this attitude that Proverbs 31 so beautifully represents. So, what are we going to do? We're going to think about our attitudes this week. We're going to think about who's influencing us. Do our attitudes reflect the attitude of Jesus? And pray about that. Pray about how you can reflect the attitudes of Jesus. And remember that what you are developing now matters. One day you will be a woman, you will be a wife, you will be a mother. If that's God's calling for you. But regardless, you will be a woman operating in society, and our chief responsibility is to lead people to Jesus. And we do that powerfully by our attitude, by our manners, by how we treat people. When we reflect Jesus, they see that and want that too. And that's our real goal here, to encourage and inspire you to develop that Christ-like attitude so that people see it and want it. So I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day wherever you are, that school is going well. And we would also love to hear from you. So you can email us, hello@waverlygirl.com. We'd love to hear from you. I'm always here to take questions or give you advice if you need advice on anything that you're going through at school or whatever. I'm here for you. So I hope you know that, and feel free to email us. I love you, and we will see you next week. Bye.